Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Francisco Macedo, Group Operations Director for iconic luxury hotels. Coming up on today's show, Francisco goes on the offensive.
Just shut up and crack on with it.
Phil thinks he's in 2020. And where's all the toilet paper gone? And Francisco shoots himself in the foot.
Money is not everything, and hopefully my bosses are not listening to that.
All that and so much more as Francisco chats us through his story and journey to date. Francisco has a cracking journey, and there are more than a few excellent lessons all the way through our chat. It's clear that he's doing what he was born to do and talks passionately about hospitality. It's wonderful to hear. A massive thank you to Francisco for making time for us in his full-on schedule. It's so good to be back doing these chats with the incredible people that make hospitality what it is. And we've got more incredible stories to share in the coming weeks. So please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening. It really does make a huge difference. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Hospitality Meets with me, your host, Phil Street. Today, we're back in hotels, and not only that, but iconic hotels. And when I say iconic, I mean iconic. Currently, this chap is the Group Operations Director for iconic luxury hotels and the still General Manager of the absolutely iconic Cliveden House, amongst many an extracurricular activity, including involvement with the IOH, Springboard, Bridging the Skills Gap, the Institute of Directors, and the Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce. I've absolutely no idea how he's made time for us today, but I am delighted to welcome Francisco Macedo.
Hello, Phil. Thanks for having me. How do I take on from that introduction? God.
Yeah, do you want to leave it there?
We'll just leave it there. And
Francisco had a great story. Yeah. No, I mean, wow. You like to keep yourself busy by the looks of things.
Definitely. I'm a believer that when you are so busy, when you've got a lot of other things going, you literally, all the time you dedicate, you make the most out of it. So every activity you do, you really try to make sure you take everything you can from that activity. So I think when you've got plenty of free time, it's very easy to actually just let things run and take, you don't make those decisions because you've got time to your hands and so on. So I always think when you're busy and you're juggling so many hats, you actually need to get on with it and make those decisions and make the world move. So definitely like being involved in a lot of different things, but certainly involved in anything that means that I can give back to the industry. That's very much my priority in everything I do. So
yeah, no, absolutely. You and I haven't met for any great length of time in the past, but I've bumped into each other at networking events and the like. You always carry a wonderful smile and energy for this industry, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, notwithstanding what you've got your head in now, which we'll obviously come on to as we progress the chat down the line. But no, I take my hat off to you with everything that you've got going, and I love that ethos of keep yourself busy, keeps you focused, meaning that you probably are a bit more productive.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure about that. I think you definitely make the decisions. You can't waste time. You need to move on to the next thing. Therefore, you do it and you do it well. You think it through and you do it well to start with, so you don't have to go back and redo it again or make that decision or analysis or whatever it may be. And there are a lot of synergies in everything I do, from the Institute of Hospitality to Bridging the Skills Gap to Springboard to my day job per se, the one that pays my bills. But certainly they all link together, and I think that's a key piece.
Yeah, and I think that mentality you've got of giving back is very much it's a hospitality mentality, right? It's service of others when your own capacity allows you to.
Definitely. Again, it goes back to, we're so used to service others. You go to a restaurant and you're entering, but someone is coming out and you open the door for them automatically because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And anything you do, you've got hospitality in your mind and in your blood, really. So I think it comes natural, and that element of giving back is very much what us in hospitality tend to focus on. And there are so many great examples of leaders in our industry that give back a lot and continue to do so. And I thought,
Yeah.
that's key to the future of the industry. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. Great. Okay. Well, as discussed, we'll get into what you've got your head into at the second 3 hours that we talk today. But before we get into that, take us through your story. How did you get into hospitality in the first place?
So how much time we have?
Yeah.
It's I mean, in many ways, is a story that a lot of people share in the industry. I started working in hospitality as first helping my parents in my parents' businesses, and just to kind of be busy but help the family, really.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 15, I decided to go and work in hotels, because I was working in hotels and I was still studying. But my idea was that actually I would work in hotels as a way of getting pocket money, and without having to be dependent on my parents, without having to worry about do I have enough money to go out and and celebrate or wherever it may be, or
There's
clubbing.
an entrepreneurial spirit straight away, quite early on.
Yeah, yeah. I think that really kind of shaped to where I am today, and hopefully how my future evolves. But at that time, my idea of if I'm able to pay my own bills, I'm not dependent on anyone. I can do wherever I want, and no one can really tell me off for spending all my money, because it's my money.
Yep.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so I started working in hotels. I was still studying. And I decided to actually, I was studying during the day, and I used to finish, my college per se at around 5 p.m. And then I would go to work in an hotel, which was a five-star property. And initially, I started as a commie waiter, and literally, I remember my first 6 months. I was polishing cutlery. At that time, this is now 22 years ago. You weren't even allowed to go on the floor and talk to guests, because you didn't have enough experience. You were just a commie in that mindset, and how the world has evolved. Thank God for that. But
Yeah.
and I remember my first 6 months, I was definitely polishing cutlery every single day. I think I could just dream about the cutlery noise and the racks and all of that. Carry on working in hotels and studying. And my idea was actually hotels was always a pocket money kind of thing. Was never a career.
Right. Okay.
Uh, so it was
What
never what
happened?
I wanted to. Yeah. Again, how the world has changed. So
Yeah.
it was never what I wanted as a career, and I guess my parents are a bit to blame for it, because they always said, you don't want to work in hospitality because it's hard work, and it's long hours, and so on. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. And I actually wanted to be a doctor, and so I
Interesting.
wanted to go and study medicine, and in fact, almost did. So I finished college, and did all my exams and so on, and got to university to study medicine, and was still working in hotels, and then actually decided that medicine wasn't for me. And just before talking a little bit through why I decided it wasn't for me, I think actually medicine and or being a doctor and working in hospitality got a lot of things that are very similar.
Okay.
And
Go on. Explain.
um, you generally work long hours on both.
Right.
You generally look after people on both.
Yeah.
You generally got a duty of service to people in general.
Yeah.
You see people in their greatest moments when they're celebrating, birth of a new baby, celebration in an hotel or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you see people through their most difficult times as well. You see people that as an hotelier, they have your property in the bucket list. They just want to come and experience before, the world takes the best part of them, and they're terminally ill or whatever it may be, and they just want to that experience.
Yeah.
And the same as a doctor, you see people during those times where they don't necessarily want to come and see you, but you can help making their pain a bit easier,
Yeah.
if
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. And as I said, you work long hours on both of them, but and both of them, in most cases, you've got the sense of achievement because you've helped someone on that day. Being as a doctor, being in hotels or hospitality in general, where you know that you've made that person's day a little bit better than it was to start with. And a lot of people don't look at those comparisons, but I definitely think that there is a lot more to share in between the two.
Yeah, you've
Um,
you've convinced me for sure. But let's not. I mean, obviously we have something of a bit of a staffing issue at the moment. But let's not go steal doctors out of that. That we need them as well for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We need them across all the industries at the moment.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I decided I didn't want to do medicine anymore. But initially, I thought I'm quite young. I was 17. I had been working in hotels for two and a bit years, and I thought, well, I'm quite good at this. I'm quite good at meeting people, and I love talking. I love socializing. I love meeting new people and new nationalities. So I was like, well, maybe I will do another year in hospitality because I'm very young, and then I will go back to university and I will study medicine. Maybe that's what I can do. You can imagine how my parents took that, especially my mum. She was like, you get back, you go back and do what you said you're going to do. You never go to follow a career in hospitality because it's really hard work, and it's not as rewarding and so on. And I said to my mum, well, I've decided I'm just going to carry on working in hotels. I'm just going to be a waiter, and that's it. So
Right.
so that created a few frictions to start with, but but I think instead of a year, I took several years break from university whilst working in hotels, and it's lucky enough at 19 years old, I was already running a restaurant in one of the five-star properties, being a Japanese restaurant actually, and it was the first Japanese restaurant in Madeira Island where I come from originally, and I was lucky. I had the right coach, the right mentors, the right people supporting me, and developed quite quickly. But I was keen to succeed as well, and I guess that perhaps really played a part because I was keen to show to my mom and to my parents in general, both of them, that actually working in hospitality was amazing, and it is amazing, and therefore was really better than be a doctor. So I carry on working in hotels, and always with a focus that okay, if one day I decide that I'm bored of it, I will just go back and study medicine.
Hmm.
Joined another hotel company which is called Pestan Hotels and Resorts. They now have 105 hotels worldwide, and I joined them. And originally, when I joined them, I remember meeting with this general manager, and he says to me, "Oh, the only position I've got for you is a chef de rang, and equivalent to a chef de rang in UK, and you're going to have to take a few steps down from where you are currently to be able to get that position, and it doesn't really make sense financially." I was like, well, I don't really care. I just want to learn how the hotel is growing, and how this group, which was a privately owned, is one man only, Dionisio Pistano, which is an amazing guy. And he started with one hotel that his father initially set up, and now today has 104, 105 hotels worldwide. And I was like, I really need to understand how one person is making this amount of money and actually buying and acquiring properties so quickly.
Mm.
So this general manager then says to me, okay, well, if that's what you want, then that's what you want, and that's fine. So I joined him, and very quickly, I learned the hard way, I guess, because I had my restaurant manager at the time had been working for the company for 35 years. So
Wow. Right.
and I was the kid on the block, and
My
you
way
kind
or
of
the
train.
highway.
Yeah, and I remember him saying to me once, he says, Francisco, people like you will come and go, and I still got to be here. So just shut up and crack on with it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is going to
Well,
be difficult.
set the bar, and you know where the bar is.
Definitely. So I carry on working with them, and very quickly, actually, convinced this restaurant manager, amazing guy, that actually I knew a little bit about what I was talking about, and I was keen to succeed, and I wouldn't let anything actually make me fail. So he then helped me actually to and spoke to the general manager at the time and said that I was right to be promoted and eventually take over the food and beverage operation on this property, which was then becoming his boss kind of thing, which was incredible.
Right. Yeah.
Um, at this point in time, I was like, well, I've got the experience working in hotels. I need to put some, I wanted a certification that says you know what you're talking about. So I went to university to study hotels management, did private university. So I was working full time at one point, running three of the properties, and I was in the afternoon. I was literally going to university, doing all my exams and doing all of that,
Here
and
we go.
and
This
then
is
going,
the first. Keep busy. Keep
yeah,
yourself busy.
yeah,
Keep focused.
definitely.
Yeah.
And for 3 years, effectively, I was managing these properties, food and beverage. I was going to university in the afternoon. I was going back then in the evening to continue my shift per se. And literally for 3 years, no days off pretty much, because you're constantly working on something, either assignments or anything you need to do. And I think that really set me to try and be as busy as I can be today, because I got so used to just be busy with a lot of different things. So that's a big part of the history. In
How old were you at this
2009,
point, Francesco?
so I went to university to study hotels management when I was 22.
Okay. So, well, still
Um,
very young then, but actually you've backed up the need to go and find a qualification with 5+ years of solid experience.
and that was the advantage, was the fact that I had worked already my way through. I had learned the hard way as well, and actually having the qualification was just an element of saying, okay, well, not only I have the experience, but I also got that qualification. But back then, and specifically in Madeira, it's almost like you do it, and I also wanted to prove to my parents that actually, I just didn't, it's not like I just quit university and I'm not doing anything with my life. I just wanted to prove, actually, I know what I'm doing, and it's going to pay off, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So in 2009, 2010, I decided to come to UK. And initially I said, I want to come to UK to do a year in UK, and just to gain experience, and then I will go back. And I was
I've heard,
involved with
I've heard this story before.
yeah,
How many people just go somewhere for a year and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And well, it's 12, 13 years now, and a lot of different properties I've worked at, and learned with a huge amount of people. And I love this country. It's my home now. And, every time I go back to Madeira and I go, okay, well, actually, I literally just go on holiday,
You're a
because
visitor.
I,
Yeah.
my life is in UK, and I really love it. I love what UK has to offer, from an hospitality point of view, but as an overall country. And I think a lot of people underestimate how good we have it sometimes.
Here. Yeah. I mean, for me, the UK hospitality scene is world class. It absolutely punches with the best of them out there. The cities, but also like you've got both actually, haven't you, under your remit? You've got city centre
Yeah,
properties and country
yeah,
house. I
yeah.
don't think there's a country out there that does country house hotels like we do.
Definitely not, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons why I ended up staying in the UK. Is I mean, throughout my career, I had been working in 300 plus bedroom hotels, so I was used to busy operations, 600 for breakfast, all of that. But the country house scene is something really special, and I think UK has the most amazing, most iconic, excuse the pun,
Yeah, that's going
properties
to not be the first time we use that for
yeah,
sure.
in the world. So and I think because the country has been so welcoming to a lot of people from different countries. Really, the best of hospitality has been built on these skills that were brought in and worked with the people from
Yeah,
UK and develop it to be what it is today. And it's just amazing, just
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I remember the people talk about this. This is, I'd love to say this is before my time, but it's before my time of being interested in hospitality. But in the 80s, the food scene was ridiculed really in this country, and now if you look at places like obviously London, but Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, they're all breaking new ground, and actually it's such a diverse thing now that you can go and get food of any type, uh, and that's been
Definitely.
brilliant.
I think the way that the country has embraced the different cultures and adapted as well, because you've got Asian influence, you've got all sorts of influences now through our food scene, and it just shows how great actually our food is.
Yeah,
And dare I say, we've got certainly some of we've got some of the best restaurants in the world,
yeah.
and a lot of people are still, I was talking to an American group the other day, and saying to me, "Oh, some of the Americans, and no disrespect, still got this idea that it's fish and chips and shepherd's pie,"
I mean, it
and I was
still
like,
can be, but
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. I said, it's gone. You've got the best of both worlds. You've got the casual scene, which is amazing currently. I mean, the amount of casual restaurants out there
yeah,
that deliver amazing experiences with great quality ingredients and really lovely home feel, but with great touch. To the fine dining scene, to the Michelin stars, to anything. So
yeah,
it's an incredible country and an incredible offer. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to flip that on its head and say that I think Madeira is an incredible place. When I worked on cruise ships, it was the very first port that I went to that wasn't UK.
yeah,
And I remember getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be up for arrival and watch the sunrise and all of that.
yeah,
And to this day, it still holds a very, very dear place in my heart. We used to be there a lot for New Year's Eve celebrations, and the fireworks
yeah.
out of Funchal
Yeah.
were just amazing.
It's an incredible island, and I think dare I say, the way we do hospitality in Madeira is in your brain, is in your blood. That's what you do, and it's an incredible island for sure. The offering, the quality of what it offers as well, and they always strive to be the best at what they do, and I think that really plays an advantage in relation to a lot of other islands that are equally as touristic. So,
Yeah, yeah. First place that I ever tried octopus
oh
was in
really?
Madeira. I know that is which is a big event for me back then because
Yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah,
beginning of my cruise ship career, I was pretty unadventurous with food. I was
yeah,
steak and
yeah,
chips and fish and chips and
yeah,
pie and chips
yeah,
and everything with chips. But thank goodness travel changed my view of that.
yeah.
But yeah, no, Madeira is a spectacular place. If anyone listening has not been, I'd recommend it for sure. I also
I
recall
agree.
that the flight in can be a bit hairy into the
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's just say, yeah, indeed. I mean, the
It's an
airport has been.
experience. It's an experience.
It is. If you make through that one, then it's fine. No.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, the reality is that a lot of pilots actually train in Madeira Airport because of the crosswinds and so on, where the location of the airport is. Certainly, landing can be quite challenging from anyone that is not used to, and it's the first attempt, they go, okay, oh my god.
Yeah.
But it's it adds into the overall
Yeah.
feel of it.
Absolutely. And, you know, hundreds, let's just caveat all of this with hundreds of flights land there safely every week.
Yeah,
So, you know, it's
yeah,
a very safe place to go. And,
definitely.
anyway, I digress a little bit. That's never happened before.
Ah, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah. So you're in the UK. I'm not talking now. Obviously, we'll go back to your kind of arrival in the UK because I don't want to skirt over this because you've worked in. I mean, you're working for a company that's called Iconic Luxury Hotels, but you have also worked for other iconic luxury hotels. So just talk us
Yes.
through your UK journey.
Um, I mean, in a funny sort of way, actually. Originally, when I first came to UK for my first year experience per se, I joined Manor House in Castlecombe, part of Exclusive Hotels, actually, and it was a very short stint. Because some of the team moved from Manor House in Castlecombe to Luton Hoo, and I had just arrived, so it's kind of like, yeah, why not? I will move as well.
Yeah,
So very quickly, I moved to Luton Hoo and run the bars and the restaurant, the Smith's Brasserie and the club area, where all the food and beverage within that club area, which is, I mean, Luton Hoo to me is an iconic property with an amazing
no doubt.
history and a huge beast, 228 bedrooms, I think. So it's a huge operation, and really taught me a few things in terms of how do you manage so many people, but also how do you manage people from different nationalities and so on. Because when I was working with Pastan Hotels, I had that experience of dealing with different nationalities, but I was almost like, it's kind of my way or the highway. And I think when you come to UK, you definitely need to adapt to how people behave and how people react to how you direct them and help them to succeed. So it gave me a lot of experience in terms of dealing with people, and not just guests but actually the team members, and manage quite a young team that in most cases, especially around the bar team, was very much a team that was equally as I was back in the beginning. They were working in hotels as a way of getting pocket money,
Yep.
and whilst they were studying to do something else. And I always remember saying, there are a few particular individuals, some that I keep in touch today, but and I remember saying to them, just remember that you go out. They used to say to me, "Oh, why do I need to learn about cocktails? Why do I want to learn about wine if I don't want to follow this in my career or wherever?" And
Yeah.
one of the things I used to say to them was, "Well, you have to take that knowledge and imagine that if you're a man and you've got a girlfriend or partner, whatever it may be, you may want to go out, and when you go out, you want to show that you know what you're talking about. Being wine that you pick, what their flavor profile is, what they like. Do they like sweet drinks or they don't, and so on.
Yeah.
And the more you learn about this, it will help you on your job, but also will help you on your personal life,
For
because as
sure.
you mature and you develop, then you've gained a piece of knowledge that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to experience.
Yeah.
So
And it kind of I mean, that's kind of home hospitality, right? I mean, if you're
yeah,
welcoming somebody into your house
yeah,
and one of the first things you do is kind of get you a drink, you know,
yeah.
it's the difference
I,
between making a freeze dried coffee versus a barista style quality coffee.
I exactly what you said. I say to my team even today, we're a home, we're a house, we're not an hotel, we're not a traditional hotel. And the reason why we're not an hotel is because we welcome everybody like they are residents in our home. And people, often I'm doing the inductions, and to this day still talking to the team directly, and I said to the team, just imagine you welcome someone to your home, to your own home, you offer them a drink, you show them around if they haven't been before, You make them feel comfortable. You're there if they need you, but if they don't and they just want to sit in the sofa and don't want to do anything, you're kind of okay with it. And that's the same we do in our properties. And that's very much a philosophy that I've had in hospitality all the way along. And Luton Hoo was a clear example of that. And, it taught me a lot as a property as well. I mean, the art of afternoon tea, definitely Luton Hoo lended itself to it. And, I learned a lot about afternoon tea back then.
Well, that's
And
another thing that this country does way better than anyone else in the world.
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. There aren't any other countries, any other places that would do as well. So, and I kind of learned that, and then it came a point in my career that I was working at Luton Hoo, and I wanted to kind of get back a bit to, I guess, the position and the level that I had before coming to UK. And I was approached by Christian Kayberg, who's a good friend of mine, and Christian says to me, "Oh, I want to." He had just joined this property, which was called Western Manor in Oxfordshire, and it was a tough property. He was trying to rebrand it and so on. And he says, "Oh, I want you to come and help me to drive that property and change the reputation and so on." So we did an entire rebranding exercise. It was a really tough property. It taught me a huge amount of stuff because I had to learn really quickly. And it taught me some lessons in my life as well. I worked for 13 months without a day off, and
Wow.
and
There's a
Christian
lesson.
the same, yeah, and Christian the same. To be fair to him, so and we were very good friends, but very good working as one team. And it was a tough property. We were trying to rebrand, build a reputation, make it profitable. It had lost money for a very long time. And as I say, very, very challenging property. It taught me a lot in terms of my life and my personal life as well, and how do you combine the two, which we'll probably touch on it a bit later on.
Don't worry, I've got a question on focus and
Yeah.
balance. Yeah.
So, and at that point, after 13 months, we achieved, we went from a 2-star, being a property rated by AA as a 2-star property. We became 4 silver stars right at the beginning when silver stars actually appeared by AA. And to us, that was like a godsend and a huge achievement. And we were extremely proud of what the team had delivered. And at that point in time, I just thought I need to go and do something else. Physically and mentally, I think I need to go and experience other property.
Yeah.
So I joined Stappleford Park in Leicestershire, and again, it had a few challenges in terms of service and service delivery, and but joined them. And what an incredible property! A lot to offer, great estate, and really incredible, and with so much that could offer, and with quite a large team. So I joined as operations manager and deputising for the GM. And again, dare I say, I've learned a lot throughout my career, and every time I've learned something from my general managers or from my bosses per se. And I always say, you always learn something, either what to do or what not to do.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and fast forward in 2015, I actually got married, and I was sitting on this airplane to go on my honeymoon to Mauritius, and I got a call from a recruitment agent that was recruiting for Bovey Castle in Devon. And Bovey Castle had just been acquired by Sir Peter Rigby, and they were trying to get into, their aim was to get to 5 red stars. Bovey Castle is an amazing property again, and
There's that word, iconic, for sure.
yeah. And it had a few challenges with reputation, with change of ownership, and so on. So I remember saying to these agents at the time, I said, look, I'm about to go on my honeymoon. if when I come back the job is still there, then I will give you a call, or give me a call when I get back, and then I will go and meet them and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I ended up, came back, met with the team at Eden Hotel Collection, and Sir Peter Rigby, who I've got a huge amount of respect for. And I remember saying to Sir Peter Rigby, and this is where my desire to succeed and always not let anything make you drop your aims. Sir Peter said to me, "Oh, so how long do you think it's going to take you to make Bovey Castle a 5 Red Star property?" I said, "Well, give me 2 years and I will make it happen." And he was like, "No, you're crazy. You're never going to do that. I mean, no one has ever done it. You're not going to make it." And I said, "Well, we shall see. Give me the job and then we will see."
There's only one way to find out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've worked with this amazing team and several individuals, including Greg, who is a resort director for the property. And we've achieved 5 Red Stars in 2 years. And we've delivered because we really create that family spirit. So everybody understood what Red Stars were about. And I've worked with Rachel Healy, who's a great trainer, and we've created Bovey experience, which was about the team actually staying on site and experience it all and measure the journey if it was to a 5 Red Star standard or not.
Yeah.
And an incredible journey, is amazing property, a lot to offer. And what an incredible team we had. So, we made it to 5 Red Stars. The following year, we made to Katie's finalists for Hotel of the Year. We made the restaurant. The restaurant went to Restaurant Team of the Year on the Katie's as finalists as well. So a lot of positive stories, and all because we really had an amazing team that really strived to deliver the best to our guests and the best to each other as well.
Yeah.
So, and then in 2018, I kind of had worked for Bovey Castle for just over 3 years, and I generally, dare I say, I made a rule when I came to UK that I would do 2 to 3 years in each property, and I would keep progressing, I would keep moving, because I wanted to keep myself fresh and not get bored. And hence again, going back to being busy all the time.
Yep.
So I left and actually initially thought I'm going to set up my own company. I was just going to do consultancy for a while because I think, that's quite fun. So I'll just going to do that. And so I did, and set up my own consultancy company. And, it actually took off very quickly, and was having a few calls a week and a few meetings, and everything was quite positive. But I was missing the buzz of actually being in an hotel and being in charge of something.
Right, and the connection to something. Yeah.
As a consultant, you turn around, you give advice, you look at the strategy, and you give your opinion, but you're never there to see if what you said actually works all the way through, or, it's not in your control anymore.
Yeah.
At least that was my view into it. So I decided to join Iconic Luxury Hotels at Cliveden as operations director, and at that time, literally, we had the general manager in place and deputy general manager, great people, very much so. My focus was actually let me help Cliveden to get the ducks in a row from a service perspective, and just making sure everything is definitely as good as it should be, with a big focus in food and beverage, which was originally my background. And then the following year, the general manager resigned as he was taking a project somewhere else, and the Iconic decided to promote me to general manager. And dare I say, this was in 2019, and you think, okay, well, that's great. Got a good year ahead in 2020, and everything's going to be amazing. And then,
what happens, Francisco?
I still don't know to this day. I'm still trying to find out.
Yeah.
So, and I was really proud at that moment. Being general manager of a property like Cliveden House was like, wow. This is,
a very proud moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was extremely proud of the team. Most of the team's been working with me since I've joined, which is incredible. And I was really happy back then. And then obviously January 2020 comes, and we had the best January ever at that point, and February was really positive, and we're thinking this is going to be our most amazing year. And then March comes, and you start looking at the cancellations going through, and you start scratching your head and trying to think, okay, well, what you going to do?
Yeah, and where's all the toilet paper gone?
Yeah. And how can we get this, and how are you going to do that? And 23rd of March was 2020 was definitely the hardest moment in my career as an industry professional. Up till that point, I used to say I was a specialist in hotel openings because I did a few when I was working with Pestana hotels. But I became a specialist in hotel closings during
Yeah.
2020. So,
God, yeah.
so you always learn something, and you need to look at the positive side of it. But that was definitely a very difficult moment, March 2020, and closing, and without knowing exactly what was happening with the team, when we would open again, and so on.
Yeah.
So that was really, really challenging. But fast forward, and we've made it through, and made it very strongly as well. And last year, as Iconic continues to evolve and develop, and Andrew Stembridge vision of growing Iconic and making continue to lead the way in British hospitality, the entire team has looked at the entire structure and decided that there was a need for an operations director for the entire collection. And so I was promoted. However, one of my main points was always I wanted to still be Cliveden general manager because, I love Cliveden, I love the team, and, I'm so close to them. They're my hospitality family.
Yeah.
And I wanted to continue to be involved in a day-to-day operations, because I always feared that if I was just running it from an office per se, then I wouldn't, I would miss that, and I would go back to almost like I felt when I was being a consultant kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and Andrew is like, no, definitely we want you to carry on being the general manager at Cliveden, and that's amazing, works really well. So, and that's kind of how it happened, and here we are, as I am the group ops director and still Cliveden House general manager.
Fantastic. I mean, the one thing I love about your story all the way through there actually is you're driven by like a bigger purpose than chasing pound signs or euros or whatever. In a few instances, you've taken a perceived step back in order to learn and then move forward. And a lot of people could learn from that, I think.
I agree. I think a lot of people will look at it and go, okay, you've taken a step back. Why would you take a step back? But I think sometimes it gives you an opportunity for you to prove yourself and to prove your own theories and to prove that what you think it works actually works. But B, it gives you another experience. And title is, I like the title I have. There is no doubt about it, and it's important. But it's not how quick you get there that's important to me. Is how long you remain there, because I think you can progress really quickly, but you can calm down extremely quickly as
For sure.
well.
Yeah.
So I think
Absolutely.
money is not everything, and hopefully my bosses are not listening to that. But
Yeah. Money is everything. Yeah.
that's what I meant.
Yeah. So let's be clear. But I think there's a lot of people who really just want to climb, and there's kind of no real plan as to why or what that journey looks like, because as you quite rightly say, this industry can get you climbing as quickly as you want to climb. The opportunities are incredible, but it's one thing to climb at pace without learning anything on the way. And if you keep getting jumped and promoted before you've actually really truly consolidated your learning, ultimately that catches up with you, and you end up finding yourself out of your depth.
And you learn the wrong way then,
Yeah.
because actually you go, well, you kind of then need to take several steps back, not just one or two, because
Yeah.
you need to go back to basics and learn those basics again. So I think, as long as you're constantly trying to learn as much as you can from the position, the property where you are, the people you work with. Going back to what I was saying, you always learn something, being what to do or what not to do. You always learning, and I think having that mentality definitely helps you in this industry. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And well, I mean, now you're kind of juggling two roles, I suppose. What does it? What does that take? What's how do you? Because that's, I mean, that's not something that happens everywhere. That's very unique to what you guys are doing. So how do you juggle the
Definitely.
two?
I think again, my day starts very early. You know, I wake up extremely early. I look at my emails before I come to work. I come to work. I go on the floor. If I'm at Clifton, I go on the floor, see the people, see the team, see the guests, have a conversation, and then then try and juggle emails and so on. So my best time replying emails or actually sitting in an office is very early in the morning or very late in the day. So actually, and dare I say, because I always say that if you reply to the email, no one's going to answer back straight away. So you bought yourself 24 hours. so,
Yeah,
so,
that's what I'm doing
because
wrong.
because I always say that if during the day you constantly and I try to I answer a lot of my emails on the go and constantly on walk arounds, but I think if you're constantly replying during the day, you're constantly getting an answer back. So you always, you think you start the day with 100 emails and you've got 100 emails still to deal with at the end of the day. So if you balance and you pace that, then I always think that is a bit better. But most of my day is spent talking to people, being our guests or our team. And that's the same being at Clifton or being in any of the other iconic properties is about the engagement with the team, being the general managers or even any other team members, because the team is our most important asset. Yeah, we run and we're lucky. We've got some or the most iconic properties in the country. Some would argue, but a nice building you can build anywhere in the world. You can bricks and mortar you can put together and you can
Yeah,
build, you
yeah,
can design, you can build. The team, you can only you can only get them together by working with them, by making them feel that you're part of the solution and not and they're part of that bigger picture. So we're nothing without our team members. We've got 800 employees across iconic, circa 200 at Clifton, and we're nothing without them.
yeah,
Literally, we're nothing without our team, and they are incredible. They deliver amazing experiences, amazing moments to our guests, day in day out. And I think yeah, as I say, there isn't a ratio of what I spend being a Clifton general manager or what I spend being iconic, because in all honesty, I don't look at the hours I work. I kind of just I do what I need to do, and I go home when I feel that I've achieved what I needed to achieve on that day.
yeah.
But one rule that I've got: I always leave my inbox completely clear at the end of the day.
Right,
Always. So
right.
and that's just because otherwise you leave something for tomorrow, and then tomorrow morning you've got another one, and then you've got another one,
Yeah,
and it ends up being very difficult to get back to.
yeah. So for somebody who here's this question, somebody who is, I suppose, keeping themselves busy, keeping that focus high, where do you get the balance? Because obviously it's not healthy to stay in that place the whole time. Your brain needs its moments to shut down.
Yeah.
Or am I retracting my question?
No, no. It's a difficult but not so difficult question. Everybody that knows me quite well would say that my brain works at 200 miles an hour all the time, and I'm constantly thinking about the next big thing or the next big project or something else. Well, what are we working on?
Yeah,
And that's very much how I work. I think, if anything. You have to learn that it's not all about your professional life, and you need to dedicate time to your personal life. And dare I say, throughout my career, I've put a lot of effort into my professional piece, and at points in detriment of my personal life. And thank God, I've been with my wife. We're married for 7 years, but we've been together for 17. So she's the most amazing support and the biggest rock really that keeps me grounded per se. But she's also the one that has allowed me to flourish, in the sense that, she's allowed me to dedicate a lot of time to my professional life,
Yeah.
and continue to chase what I wanted to achieve. So I think it's very difficult to find a balance, especially if you're very career driven. But ultimately, as long as you've got a sense of achievement at the end of the day, being from your professional life or from your personal life, then you've achieved something.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel satisfied that at least you're happy. But it's not easy, definitely not easy. You always feel like, oh, I'm just going to answer another email, I'm just going to deal with this now. And you go away on holiday, and so you need to put some time into your diary where you actually block time to do other things. A big example that I've got, my calendar doesn't allow, well, it does allow me, but it doesn't allow anyone to book anything in my calendar before 10 o'clock in the morning. And
Right.
it's not because I don't come to the properties before 10. It's actually to ensure that I've got enough time to get into the building, see the people, see the team, see the guests, have a conversation, and then eventually the calls may start, or wherever it may be now with virtual calls. And then in the evening, at 5 o'clock every day, very rarely I will allow any meetings to be booked in. And the reason I do that, I actually block some time out, so where I can just get my thoughts on the day, and how the day went, what else I should focus on moving forward.
Yeah.
Almost like a constant improvement analysis. You're constantly looking at what you've done well, what you could have done better, and how can you make it better tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's journaling, isn't it? Really, I suppose everybody talks about that as an important part of a personal routine. That but it's important in business as well, that you continually improve and continually look for that extra inch.
Definitely, and I learned this actually very early in my career. I worked with Joan Scarer, who was director of restaurants, and back 20 years ago, and he used to say to me, Francisco, if you want to continuously improve what you do as a waiter, as a restaurant manager, and so on, write down every day in your diary what you've done extremely well, what happened, how did you deal with it, and every year on that same day, go back to your previous years and see, knowing what you know today, how would you have dealt with?
Interesting.
And it's
I like that.
incredible because every year you've developed yourself, you've learned something, you've had some personal situations in life or whatever may happen that has shifted your mindset. So you look at things with a completely different perspective. And I did that for many years. I guess not as much now with the diary. I don't do it with the diary, but I still very much do the same thing of going back and look and think, okay, well, I did that. Maybe I would have done this instead, or I would
Mm.
have dealt with it this way. And I think that actually makes you a lot better because you've gone through the different scenarios, how you dealt with, how potentially you could deal with, and knowing what you know today. And every year you can see your evolvement as well as you've evolved as an individual, as a professional. So
Yeah, and that's important because I think a lot of the time you don't really appreciate that you are developing. Like if you're just in the moment and you're just, this is what we've got to deal with today, and you deal with it and you move on to the next day and so on. But actually, if you look back on that and how you might have dealt with it differently, and knowing what you know now, and all of these, so I can see the value in that. It's much like when you like if you have an action plan for your business, and you move stuff off the action plan
yeah,
because it gets actioned. Don't bin it. Keep an action plan of all the stuff you've achieved, and then when you're having these dark moments where you go, we're not getting anywhere, sometimes look at where you've come from, and that can really help you.
couldn't agree more. I think it's crucial that you never find yourself in an hamster wheel where you're constantly just trying to get on that wheel and the wheel is running faster, but you can't get out of it. So,
Yeah.
and I think it is important that you've got the times to actually stop that wheel and reanalyze everything you've done, focus in the achievements you've had, and how can you become better as you move forward, and how can you help your team, how can you help your people, your guests, to have a better experience as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to move it back onto light-hearted for a split second. do you have any funny stories from your career that you can share with us?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I was working with another Portuguese guy back 12 years ago, I think, and I was working at Luton Hoo, and we were serving afternoon tea, and afternoon tea is a bit of an institution. And this guy, he had just arrived to UK as well. He had reasonably English, but again, some words in different counties can mean different things. So we had this lady saying to him, and I won't mention his name just to protect him. This lady said to him, "Oh, can you show me the cloakroom? Could you show me the way to the cloakroom?" And she literally meant the toilets and the loos and so on.
Right.
And he thought it was the cloakroom where they had the coats and everything. Okay, so you can see where this is going. So as hospitality goes, he looked at the lady and he said, "Oh, let me show you the way and let me help you with it."
Okay.
So I was just at the side and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at this lady really confused, and she's like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "No, I'll take you there and I will help you with it." And he was trying to say, "I'm going to help you with your coat," and so on,
Of
putting the
course,
coat
yeah.
wherever. But obviously, the lady wanted to go to the toilet. So, and until I had to say, "Just the lady actually means the toilets," and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." And the lady was then laughing her head off on it. But initially, the reaction was like, "What the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?"
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Oh,
yeah.
and that's the more you say something like that in a situation, the worse it gets as well, right? No,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
exactly.
help you. I'm gonna help you.
I will help you.
Yeah.
Don't want any help.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
I did. You
definitely.
know,
Yeah,
this is one of the things I love about this industry is that little moments like that can just creep up on you at any time,
yeah, definitely.
and you can find the fun everywhere if you don't even have to look that hard, to be honest.
No, it's very easy. Yeah, I mean, in hospitality, it's always a funny environment because we end up taking a piss out of each other all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean that's families, right? That's
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
is what.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean the relationship I have with my brother. That's if people didn't know we were brothers, they'd think we were enemies, you know. Um,
Yeah,
but anyway,
definitely.
no, that's cool. You're a master inn holder.
I am.
So just talk for because this is actually we've had a few master inn holders on the show, but we've not really ever delved into what that is. So
Hmm.
I actually today I wanted to just ask you quickly to kind of just really talk to us about what being a master inn holder is all about.
Well, I became master in holder last year at the age of 35, which was, I think, my proudest moment in my career,
Yeah,
because I always aspired to be a master in holder. Because master in holders, in my opinion, and as the organization stands for, we continue to show and lead the way in terms of hospitality and sort of driving the standards and maintaining those standards at the highest level possible.
yeah,
And that's what we as mastering holders try to do and advocate for. But also the best standards and the highest standards in how do we look after our teams, which the likes of Sally Beck having set up Hotelier's Charter, which again is an amazing initiative. And everything we do is about maintaining the very high standards of our industry and protecting them, but
yeah,
also developing people, really developing, nurture, and support people through their career, being in the way of mentoring, being the St. Julian Scholars, being just a way of networking as well, because the more you network, the more people you meet, the better you become at networking, the better you become at having conversations. And, dare I say, and I always give this advice when we talk about networking, everyone in that same room as you are has been in your shoes before, and they maybe didn't know anyone and they felt exactly the same. And if you're in a networking event and you go up and you talk to someone, no one's going to turn around and leave you speaking on your own. So
yeah,
everybody's going to answer back. So, but mastering holders is very much about supporting the industry in terms of maintaining its high standards and developing it and nurture the leaders of tomorrow, not the ones of today, but the ones of tomorrow, and how they continue to drive that forward.
Yeah.
As an organization, there aren't a lot of master inn holders, but is a company that has been the company of inn holders has been evolving over many years, and all started with back in the 15th century actually, and all
Okay,
about
talk us
the
through that then, all from the 15th century.
Oh God, God. But it started with the innkeepers effectively, and that was a way of being hospitable in their environments, their pubs, and so on. So it
Yeah.
was all based around the hospitality piece. And Master in Holders in Hospitality was set in 1975, but with the same, or then 1974, the inholder's going to be listening to it and say, "Oh, he got that date wrong."
Yeah.
But
Chuck him out. Chuck him out.
yeah, but it started with giving back to the industry, with very much supporting the industry, to driving those standards and looking after for one another.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do today still. And the company will continue to evolve, and no doubt. But I always had it on my bucket list, if we like, that one day I would make it to it. I would make it to it. To demystify, I guess, the reputation that was only for people that have worked in the industry for 50 years, and they get that when they're about to retire. Because as much as I wish for, no, I wouldn't. But I'm not about to retire yet. But I wanted to demystify that image that people have, that you actually need to be very, very, very close to your retirement,
Yeah.
although no retirement age. And I wanted to show to people that actually no, it's all about you leading the way in driving the standards and supporting the industry, and continue to give back, commit to give back to the industry. And so I got awarded last year with another 9 amazing individuals, and no doubt, I mean, I could talk for hours about it, but it's definitely the most, or the proudest moment of my career.
Fantastic as well. And I think it also demonstrates that, okay, you must be 36 now, I suppose, based
Yeah,
on what you've just said.
yeah.
That, in the grand scheme of things, quite young for the role that you have for
Yeah.
as you say, becoming a master inn holder. But actually, that old cliche of if you're good enough, you're old enough. It doesn't really matter. Age is not a barrier to anything.
And it shouldn't be, being that you're older or younger. Ultimately, is as much effort you put in, as much you try to learn from it and develop.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly looking to improve yourself and be a better version of yourself, then you're in the right direction. I don't really look at ages at all. Numbers are numbers, and I think it's a bit irrelevant, to be fair, because if you're older when you get to hospitality, when you get to work in hospitality, then you've got an entire experience of life that will help you massively in this industry. If you're very young, you've learned very young how the industry evolves, and how people, you will have a lot of people supporting you and coaching you. So I think there is huge benefits on experience. So.
Absolutely. Talent and attitude, you can go far with those two things. And talent can be developed. Attitude comes from within.
Yeah, we say it all the time. We hire with attitude. We hire people with attitudes, because the skill set, we can train them.
Yeah.
We can coach them, and the attitude is very hard to change. But if they've got the right attitude, then the rest we'll give them all the skill set for it. So.
Yep, absolutely. Great stuff. A couple of more questions quickly before I'll send you on your merry way. What's the next year got in store for the company?
As a company, we look to evolve, we look to grow. So we will be looking to potentially develop some synergies. We've got some projects as well happening within each of our properties, both at Cliveden Arms and Chewton Glen. But also we're looking to potentially for acquiring more iconic properties if they ever come available. So
Right.
as we look to grow our collection with properties that add value to what we already do, and add value to our guests and to our regulars. I mean, we currently have circa 50% of our guests visit each of our properties, and they go and they go around each of the properties,
Mm.
and we want to continue to grow on that. And if we've got more properties, then it will continue to grow that, because if people are going up north or further south or southwest or wherever, then if we've got a property there, people will be looking for an iconic property where they can go and stay. So that's part of what we do, but certainly sharing synergies and ensuring that we share best practices, we learn from it, and whatever mistake we've done in one property, we're perhaps not committing on the second property, because we've learned from that. So it's a lot of that. But as a company, it's exciting times. We've got an amazing exec director, Andrew Stembridge, which I'm sure you've heard of, and uh,
Legend.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anyone talks me through who do I look for every day, is to me, and not because he is my current boss, because he knows I'm not that kind of guy. I wouldn't. But he's incredible. He's achieved a lot in his career, and again from a very young age. And I think I always look up with his to his way of thinking and innovative approach to hospitality, and he has led the way in many initiatives in this country. So, and I think that my role is very much supporting him and the rest of the strategic team to deliver in our objectives, which is growing the company and become better at what we do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And if you're listening, Mr. Stembridge, I will happily have you on the show one day. But all in good time. All in
Sure.
good time.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Final question before you go. What are your top 3 reasons for somebody to join hospitality as a career?
Why wouldn't you? Well, I think there are a million different reasons, but it's a fun industry. It's flexible. You can work part time. You can work nights. You can work days. You can work half days. You can do split shifts. You can do a couple of hours a day. You can do whatever you want effectively, and there will be a role for you.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. You've got fun. You've got tough moments, but you've got a lot of fun, and you meet people that you wouldn't have an opportunity to meet otherwise. The most rewarding industry for sure, and anyone can argue wherever they feel, but I don't think there is any other industry that is as rewarding, where every single day you go home thinking, I've done something, I feel proud that that guest had the most amazing time, or that team member is really well looked after, and they're really happy working with us, and they're really keen to progress in their career. Or when you've promoted someone, or when you help them to grow, you coach them, you mentor them. I mean, it's an amazing industry. If anyone out there listening to this, do come and join. Pick the right mentor, pick the right person. Don't look for the company only, look for the right person to guide you through that career, because they will help you and they will make you succeed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's an industry I love. It's an industry that I breathe. So
And if anybody's in any doubt about that, go and watch this section on YouTube, because you just came alive then when we started talking about it. You're very, very animated, so you're clearly passionate about the industry, and that's great. That means you're in the right place. You can do your greatest work and inspire more people to do the same. And actually, the point you made there about the tough moments, where tough moments are inevitable in any industry, and actually you shouldn't be trying to avoid tough moments in your life. That's my view. Your comfort is the enemy of progress. I think that's a saying somewhere. I think that's 2
yeah,
cliches now I've dropped into
yeah.
the conversation. So
It's very much that element that you're going to learn from it. You're
yeah,
going to learn from those tough moments, and you're going to learn from your tough managers. You're going to learn from anyone, and from anything that happens in your life. Just analyze it, see how could you have avoided, and not dropping Cliveden in it, but our vision is respecting the past and perfecting the future. And I very much use that in everything I do, because I think if you always respect what has happened to you, and you look into ways of making it better in the future, then that suddenly it's what it is all about. Those tough moments is your past, and you're gonna make it. You're gonna learn from it. You're gonna make your future be perfect, or
yeah,
as perfect as it can be. So,
yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful stuff. Well, if people want to get a hold of you to learn about you, the company, anything really around hospitality or life, what's the best method for them to get in touch with you?
I mean, anything really. LinkedIn, email, social media, Instagram, Twitter. I don't do much of Facebook, and WhatsApp is probably the easiest. My number is on my LinkedIn profile. I don't have a problem in sharing, and I don't have a problem in talking to anyone. Even sometimes luckily in my career, I've had people contacting me out of the blue, and they just go, "Oh, can I just ask you something?" And I go, "Yeah, of course." And then they tell you, and you kind of go, "Oh, why are you calling me? Why you didn't call someone else?" and so on. So I always think that you can never. You're always learning both ways as well. Even if someone is just asking you a question, you're actually learning
Totally.
as well from it. So
Yeah. That's the thing
so
about mentoring, isn't it? Is actually a
yeah,
two-way thing.
yeah,
And
very much so.
it's great for people who have career maturity to have fresh ideas put in their head, you know.
Absolutely. Otherwise, goes back to someone used to say to me, no matter how good you think you are, there is always someone out there that is better than you. So you're always learning, and you can always do better. So
Yeah, totally. And that's a wonderfully positive way to end our chat. And I'd thank you massively for taking the time out of your phenomenally ridiculous schedule to talk us through your
thank you,
story. And thanks for sharing so openly.
thank you, thank you,
Take
Phil.
care. Speak to you soon.
Take care. Speak
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
And there we have it. What a wonderful story so far from Francisco, with some excellent thoughts and lessons. I can't wait to get out to Cliveden House and experience his hospitality firsthand. We will, of course, be back next Wednesday with another cracking story from hospitality, so until then, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.